In this busy world, no one has time for anyone else. Sometimes, for these reasons, we became too much busy in our life that we forget to share our emotions with others. For today's video, we are going to talk about how important it is to talk to someone when you're feeling down. So, without further ado, let's jump right into it. Therapists are trained to help their patients through whatever problems they may be facing. In her Los Angeles office, Gottlieb ensures that she listens to her patients, offers them comfort, and helps them through their struggles. But much as she tries, Gottlieb cannot control the things that happen in her own life. Stay with this video to find out how Gottlieb manages her issues and her patients and why it is important to be open to receiving help from others. Gottlieb has had sessions with many clients. And one such client is John, a self-absorbed Hollywood writer and producer. She experienced some difficulty connecting with John, who she frankly thought was an asshole. The 40-year-old client, who came off as thoroughly self-involved and uncaring about others, reported that he felt stressed and found it difficult to sleep or get along with his wife. John referred to everyone he couldn't understand or get along with as an idiot, from his coworker, dental hygienist, and even down to his previous therapist, who only lasted 3 sessions. As Gottlieb tried to understand John and help him through their sessions together, she remembered that her supervisor once told her that there's something likable about everyone. So, she kept repeating the mantra, "Have compassion," and tried to find the likable things about John. During this therapy session, she realized that they both dealt with their pain by covering it up. As she listened to John, she realized that his need to rant about the world is filled with idiots and blame everyone else for mistakes resonates so loudly with her. Therapy is a two-way street. For example, as John narrated his problems, Gottlieb thought about her breakup and other things that troubled her. There's a particular process of pointing out the mistakes that patients make. Do it too fast, and you might risk it all and lose them. Do it too slow, and they start feeling unsafe, like parents whose children refuse to hold them accountable. In Dr. Wendell's 4th session with Gottlieb, he discovered that one of his defenses was his cell phone when Gottlieb drew his attention to her feeling dismissed when he texted during a session. She said if they were going to work together and make any form of progress at all, he'd have to stop using his cell phone during sessions. Surprisingly, he conceded, and through the remainder of the therapy, she discovered that he indeed could love. When people come to therapy, they present an in-the-moment snapshot of themselves. So, it is up to the therapist to cajole, nudge, talk, listen, and guide patients to bring other aspects of their life into view. Some snapshots are dark, while some are blurry. People don't always remember how an event or conversation went, but they don't forget how it made them feel. As Gottlieb continued her sessions with Dr. Wendell, she remembered something her supervisor once told her: always treasure the resistance. She knew when to push for more answers and when to let go. For instance, Dr. Wendell once got antsy with the direction of her questions, slipped, and mentioned Gabe, his son, who died in a car accident at a young age. Gabe was sitting directly behind his driver's seat, which was the direct point of impact. In her first therapy session with her therapist, Gottlieb reported that she was finding it hard to get over her abrupt breakup with her ex-boyfriend. She referred to him as the boyfriend. The boyfriend, who Gottlieb described as the sweetest guy she had ever met, broke up with her seemingly out of the blue after a 2-year-long relationship. Because of how abruptly and blindsiding the breakup was, Gottlieb felt like she never knew him. The boyfriend was the kind of guy who'd drive down to the pharmacy at 2 a.m. to get her the antibiotic she needed urgently without complaints. He was the kind that would leave awesome post-it notes on her desk, hold her hand, open doors, and never complain about being dragged to her family events. He would send her Amazon packages full of books, because he knew books were her love language, for no reason, and he seemed to adore her family members genuinely. Gottlieb noticed that the boyfriend was unusually quiet as they settled in to pick a movie. This was when he dropped the bomb. He had decided he didn't want to spend the next 10 years with Gottlieb's child under his roof. We certainly have our deal breakers, but when we go through life picking and choosing, we lose out on lots of good things, thereby depriving ourselves of joy. In Dr. Wendell's office, Lori Gottlieb relayed her presenting problem by trying to paint the boyfriend as either a sociopath or a selfish liar, and she wanted her therapist to confirm her assertion. After all, he did know that the boyfriend was the presenting problem. The only way he could reach the real problem was by listening and observing Gottlieb very carefully. Dr. Wendell thought maybe she was grieving over something more significant. Before a therapist can break down a person's defenses, they need to help the patient replace the defense with something else, to not leave their patient raw and exposed, with no protection whatsoever. His going away left her to face the horror alone, even though she hadn't told him about her failing health. Wendell suggested that by stalking the boyfriend online, she was holding on to a cancelled future. She was watching the boyfriend's future unfold while she remained stuck in the past. Wendell realized that the boyfriend was not merely a way to hide her fear of death from herself, but also a great distraction from something that made her anxious. According to the National Center for Health Statistics, 19.2% of U.S. adults received mental health treatment in 2019. When Rita had come for her very first session, she was so depressed that when she gave an account of her situation, it was as if she was reading an obituary. The final line had been written, and her life, she believed, was a tragedy. Thrice divorced and the mother of 4 troubled adults, grandchildless and living alone, and retired from a job she disliked, Rita saw no reason to get up in the morning. When she gave suggestions to inject vitality into Rita's life, Rita shot down every single one. Sometimes, people reflect on their past as a way of letting go of their emotional burdens. In an emergency session, Rita was agitated and uncharacteristically disheveled. There had been a man in her life named Myron, a former friend, whom she met at the mailbox. Rita thought it was a date, so she dramatically declined, and they soon became fast friends. Myron broke up with Randy 3 months later, and when he professed his undying love to Rita, she decided to come clean about her past so that he could make informed decisions on whether he still wanted to be with her. Rita detailed in a letter that she read aloud to Gottlieb amidst tears, her lonely childhood, her struggles with depression, and how it affected her children. She also talked about her abusive first husband, how being a neglectful mother, coupled with her husband's addiction to alcohol, messed up her children, making them want nothing to do with her. Lori Gottlieb's newest client, Charlotte, reported that she drank a couple of glasses of wine nightly to relax. It turned out, Charlotte edited that part of her life and displayed an interesting snapshot of her life. When Charlotte entered treatment for anxiety and depression, she was in denial about her addiction to alcohol. She drank more than a few glasses, and had started having gaps in her memory. She didn't believe there was anything wrong with social drinking, and she worried that her real addiction was her therapist, Lori Gottlieb. Charlotte hated having to rely on Gottlieb as much as she relied on her parents. She dated unavailable men because she was unwittingly drawn to men who replicated some of her father's unavailability traits when she was young. Her parents were inaccessible a lot while raising her. They often fought, cursing and yelling so loudly that the neighbors sometimes complained. They were never attentive. And because of this childhood experience, Charlotte came to unconsciously associate love with a sense of anxiety rather than happiness or tranquility. Gradually, through his sessions, John learned to acknowledge his grief, be more empathetic, and communicate better with his wife. They begin a healing journey together, coming to terms as a couple with their son's death. Rita also began the journey to forgiveness and healing, finally freeing herself from her self-imprisonment. Myron received Rita's letter, and after taking some time off to absorb what Rita revealed, he decided to take a chance on her. With Gottlieb's help, Rita efficiently identified and managed her weaknesses. The strangest thing about therapy is that it is structured around an ending. It begins with the knowledge that the time between a therapist and their patient is finite. But the end of therapy doesn't necessarily mean the end of a relationship, the same way a relationship in real life doesn't end. Now, if you've enjoyed the video, then hit the like button, and if you're new to my channel, then tap the red subscribe button. If you want some business, marketing, cryptocurrency information, then you can go to our second channel link in the description. Thank you, have a good day, see you in the next video.